My name is Rob Dixon from ERROS. ERROS is a totally new type of database for the IBM I. Using ERROS, I'm going to show you how you can create a simple, robust, secure, high-performance application in just a few minutes. This will be done without an upfront detailed user specification, without any physical file design, without any new programs or program changes. In fact, no new file or program objects will be created. ERROS applications are created incrementally and can be enhanced as user requirements evolve. The new application will be able to handle very large data volumes with wonderful response times. This application is to be created to enable a bike shop to rent bicycles to its customers. There are 4 steps to application creation: data definition in the ERROS Business Modeler, application creation, application authorization, and testing. In this video, I'm showing how the data definitions are created using the ERROS Business Modeler. We need 2 entity types, customer and bicycle. For customer, the user needs the attributes name and number, telephone number, and bikes currently rented, whilst for bicycle, the attributes will be name and number and currently rented to. Bikes currently rented is a relationship with the bicycle, and the inverse attribute of bicycle is currently rented to. This is a relationship with customer. All relationships in ERROS are bidirectional. ERROS is object-oriented, and those business model definitions that already exist can be reused. So, in the business model, we have to define what is new. The entity type customer already exists, as do the attributes name and number and telephone number. But we must create bikes currently rented. We need to create the new entity type bicycles, but the attribute name and number already exists and can be reused with this entity type. The attribute currently rented to will have to be created. Sign on to ERROS and you will get a list of the ERROS applications to which you are authorized. Double-click on ERROS Business Modeler. You will now see the initial menu for the ERROS Business Modeler. Double-click on User-Defined Repository. Type bikes currently rented and press Enter. ERROS tells you that no such record exists. Click on Add. ERROS shows that it is about to add the term to the user-defined repository. You can type in a comment if you wish, but just click on Confirm or press Enter. ERROS shows that the record has been added. Click on Enter. ERROS now wants to know whether this term is an attribute or an entity type. Double-click on User Attribute. ERROS shows that it is about to create bikes currently rented as a user attribute and displays some of the default characteristics that will be applied to this new attribute. Press Enter to accept these and to add the record. ERROS adds the record and shows that there is a user-defined term, bikes currently rented, and that this is now a user attribute. This means that if you went to the entity type user attributes, you would find bikes currently rented there. This has been achieved simply by establishing a connection between the user term bikes currently rented and the entity type user attributes. Although you have defined a new attribute, you have not yet said to which entity type this attribute belongs. Press Enter, and it also allows you to select user-defined entity type of which attribute. ERROS tells you that this attribute is not yet an attribute of any entity type. Click on Add as instructed. ERROS asks you to select whether you wish to add the attribute to a predefined ERROS entity type or one that has been defined in your company's business model. As the ERROS entity type customer already exists, select entity type ERROS defined. You must now select the existing entity type. You could choose customer, but the user has specified that all contact names must be accessible, not just those that are existing customers. Type context and press Enter. ERROS displays the record Contacts All. Note that this has an S to its left. This means that Contacts All is a synonym for another term. Synonyms are available as an option throughout all ERROS applications. Press Enter and ERROS has selected the entity type User Personal and Business Name. It is about to relate it to the user attribute Bikes Currently Rented, using the same default characteristics as before, although they could be changed if required. Press Enter to add the newly defined attribute to the existing entity type User Personal and Business Name. ERROS shows that Bikes Currently Rented is a user-defined attribute of the ERROS entity type User Personal and Business Name. ERROS has been able to add this new attribute whilst the entity type is in use, perhaps in many applications which are being used by very many users. This will have had no impact upon their response times. There has not been any need to shut down the applications using the entity type, as would be necessary with an industry-standard relational database management system. You might wish to change the font size. If so, click on Options. Change default font size to 4 and press Enter. The change is instant, as ERROS generates all HTML and JavaScript on the fly, so all the HTML has changed. Perhaps you would like to change the colors. To do so, click on Operate and select Browser Defaults 1. Two sets of browser colors have been defined for Demo.com Limited, although more can be defined. These colors will be available in all applications, including the Bike Shop application that you are about to create. When you sign on, ERROS selects the first set, but now you can select the second one. All the colors on the screen changed instantly. This is possible because ERROS generates HTML and JavaScript on the fly in immediate response to your request. You can change them back just as quickly. So this is where you were. You had created a new attribute and added it to an existing entity type. You now need to create Bicycle as a new entity type. You can click on Jump Back, and that will take you back several screens to user-defined terms. You don't have to go back one screen at a time. Type Bicycle. As it doesn't exist, click on Add, and then Enter, just as we did for Bikes Currently Rented. Press Enter, and ERROS again asks whether this is an attribute or an entity type. This time you select User Entity Type. Accept the default values and press Enter. ERROS tells you that the user term Bicycle is a user entity type. In traditional terms, you've created a new file, although so far it does not have any attributes. Press Enter, then double-click on Attributes Include. You now need to add the identifying attribute, name and number. As this is an existing ERROS attribute, double-click on Attribute ERROS Defined. Type the word Name and press Enter. ERROS displays a list of attributes whose names begin with the word Name. Double-click on Name and/or Number. Accept the default characteristics by clicking on Confirm. ERROS returns to the list of predefined attributes so that you can add others, but there are none for the moment, so click on Jump Back. Click on Refresh, and ERROS shows that Bicycle is a user entity type, and that it now has an attribute Name and/or Number, which consists of two fields, Name and Number. You now need to create the attribute Currently Rented To, so click on Jump Back to return to user-defined terms. Type Currently Rented To and press Enter. ERROS does not find this, so click on Add as instructed. Unless you wish to put in a comment, press Enter to add the new term. ERROS shows the new term. ERROS instructs you to select whether this new term is a user attribute or a user entity type. Select User Attribute. On this occasion, change the value for surrogate from C to R. The cursor should already be in the correct place, and press Enter. ERROS tells you that Currently Rented To is a user attribute. Press Enter. You now need to define the entity type to which this attribute belongs. Select, by double-clicking, User-Defined Entity Type. As instructed, click on Add. As currently rented to is to be an attribute of a user entity type, double-click on that. ERROS shows you that the only existing user entity type is bicycle, the one that you just created. So click on that and press Enter. ERROS shows that it is about to create currently rented to as an attribute of bicycle. Note the earlier change of the surrogate value to R is carried through. Press Enter. You have now defined the required entity type and the new attributes. You now need to define the relationship between customer and bicycle. Click on Jump Back to return to user-defined terms. Type asterisk or star and press Enter. ERROS will display the three user terms that you have created in alphabetic sequence. Double-click on Bikes Currently Rented. ERROS reminds you that it is a user attribute. Press Enter. Let us look at an ERROS semantic network diagram. This shows the structure of the relationship that you need to create. When operating the application, you will want to select a customer and then select Bikes Currently Rented and relate it to a bicycle. If, having recorded a bike rental, you then looked up a bicycle, you would expect to find the names of people who are renting it under the attribute currently rented to, and this is the inverse of Bikes Currently Rented. Select Entity Types Related. Click on Add. Click on User Entity Type. Press Enter, and it also displays the list of user entity types. At present, the only one is bicycle. Select this and accept the default values by clicking on Confirm. ERROS shows that the attribute Bikes Currently Rented is a relationship with the entity type bicycle. Press Enter, then click on Add, as instructed. Select Attributes Include. ERROS shows the list of attributes for bicycle. Select Currently Rented to. Accept the default values by clicking on Confirm. You have now defined Currently Rented to, the attribute of the entity type bicycle, as the inverse of Bikes Currently Rented. Press Enter, then click on Add, as instructed. The records to be related are in a user entity type bicycle, so double-click on User Entity Type. Type Bicycle. ERROS retrieves the user entity type bicycle. Press Enter. Accept the default values by clicking on Confirm. ERROS tells you that the records to be related are stored in the entity type bicycle. Press Enter. ERROS displays the attributes for bicycle. Double-click on Name and Number. Accept the default value by clicking on Confirm. You have now defined the relationship in this diagram. The entity types and attributes in this diagram are now all defined. This is because ERROS is object-oriented and fully supports the reuse of definitions. You have completed the business model. You can add further attributes or entity types in the future as user requirements evolve. You have added only 46 records to make the necessary extensions to the business model and the ERROS database. You have not created a single system object. Apart from the 3 new terms that you added to user-defined terms, you have made all the other additions to the business model simply by creating connections. The new entity type will be able to store almost 1 billion different models of bicycle. You have not had to consider the physical layout of the file in which the data is stored. You haven't had to create a new file. The next step is to create the application. This process is very similar to the one that you have just completed. A demonstration of that process will be in a separate video. This video is about 16 minutes long. Without the commentary, the changes to the business model could be completed in under 2 minutes.